Hello, everyone. Here is another position for you to meditate over and contemplate. Again, about 20 minutes to a half an hour and analyze the position for both sides. It's white to move here, uh, and it's not nothing, spectacular. It's not white to move and win or anything like that. It's some positional practice in the middle game to get you used to analyzing uh, positions and coming up with a plan. So if you want to do that, I suggest pause the video before we get into the game. Okay, so first of all, with the white pieces was Susan Polgar, and this game took place in 1988 uh, in a city called Adelaide in South Australia. Beautiful city. I had to Google it uh, and see some images, and it looks very nice. I think I'm going to go there. Um, with the black pieces was Grandmaster Grigory-Serper, and both players were 19 years old at the time. Who is Grigory-Serper? He's uh, well, I was gonna say Russian, but at the time it was the former USSR, Soviet Union. He was born in a place called Tashkent, which is now Uzbekistan. So he's a former Soviet uh, GM, but Uzbekistan is what the name of the country that he is from is called now. And Polgar, what to say about her? Uh, Susan is known, is famous for being a child prodigy, a pioneer in women's chess. In 1984, at the age of 15, she became the top-ranked woman player in the world. She's also the first to qualify for the men's quote-unquote world championship. Um, what else did she do? What's interesting about the girls, many of you might know the Polgar sisters. There was Susan, Judith, and Sophia, and basically their upbringing in chess was part of an educational experiment conducted by their father, Laszlo Polgar, who basically felt that uh, geniuses were made and not necessarily born. That if you uh, taught your child in a specific subject from an early age, that they could make great accomplishments. And so this is what he did was train his girls in the elements of chess. And as far as his experiment, at least personally, it seemed to work out pretty good. All the girls became very strong in chess. Of course, Judith wound up being the strongest female chess player of all time, but Susan led the way. uh, she was the first woman to earn the Grand Master title in 1991. The conventional way. What's the conventional way? That's by and the man's GM title too, not this WGM stuff, but the conventional title. And the way she did it was she achieved three GM norms, and she had a rating over 2,500. All right, so she became a GM basically the way you're supposed to be a GM. So she was totally legitimate. There was no oh, she's just a girl, let her be a GM. Now you might ask about the former women's champion, for instance, Nona uh, Gabrindashvili and Maya Chiburnadze. Well, they were given the GM title by a special judgment of FIDE. So that's why I say Susan Polgar was the first to earn it the um, conventional way. Okay, so let's look at this position now. Again, it's white to move. Polgar, Susan Polgar had the white pieces, and Grigory-Serper had the black pieces. This is one of those funny positions. There's no, there's no really right or wrong uh, way to go out. well, of course, there's always a wrong way. You could do something real crazy like hang a piece. But in other words, it's possible to look at this position for white and come up with different plans. Um, and it depends, again, it depends on what your chess style is and what type of chances you're willing to take, what you're willing to allow your opponent to have in exchange for what you want to do, etc. So this type of position can also reveal your temperament as a chess player. Um, let's look at the position. So what do you see here? All right, the first thing that really sticks out, okay, is the fact that white has more space on the queen side. All right, with this advanced C pawn and also this pawn on A4, you got a pawn on B3 that's looking like it wants to go to B4 and B5. So that's the first thing. Um, that's the big thing that sticks out to me. Um, other minor factors. Again, when we look at analyze this type of position, we want to keep in mind the smaller factors. Um, for instance, white's pieces are a bit better coordinated. Notice the black rook on D7. Notice the knight on C8. Right, the awkwardness of that. Can you really exploit that at this moment? Probably not because of the locked and closed nature of the position. But it's something to keep in mind. All right. What else can we look at? Um, now, considering where is black's counterplay going to come from, because this is something that we have to think of. Where's black's play going to come from? If black can move, black really has two choices in this position. Actually, I'll say three choices. One is to try to fight white space advantage on the queen side, right? And again, this is all fantasy right now, but this is how you have to think. One is, like B4 and excuse me, B6, and trying to chop down white's spatial advantage. Another way is to try to engineer E5 at some point. Okay, maybe F6, E5. Okay. The other way, the third way is to try to engineer an attack on the king side, F5, and now you had this stonewall type setup. All right, so those are three things that you could think of. Now you have to think, well, which way is the most realistic or has the best chance of actually working on the board. All right. Um, I would say for black's best opportunity is to try to engineer maybe something like F5. Playing a reverse stonewall. I'm sorry, not a reverse stonewall, but a stonewall type position with F5. I think that is black's best opportunity. Needless to say, I think that white has a slight advantage here because again, the space on the queen side and are his pieces are better placed. All right, and that White's play should continue on that side of the board where he does have more space on the queen side. So I would be thinking of B4, B5, playing that typical plan, exchanging on C6 and moving my heavy pieces to the B file and penetrating over there. All right. Um, my mindset is that even if black plays his best plan, which I believe is like a stonewall type setup, it's too slow. And the reason is because of the position of the black pieces. Their uncoordinated nature um, makes it almost impossible for black to really mount up a successful kingside attack. All right, in time before white has his full penetration on the queen side, because white is already halfway there as far as his advanced pawns on the queen side. So my move in this position would be like I would play B4. Okay, and so let's look at my personal analysis. I would play like B4, And again, this didn't happen in the game. This is just my personal analysis. F5. Right, say black tries to go for the stone wall. Um, Knight D2, and the idea is just to reposition that knight. Queen C7, B5, fix that rook. Rook D8, Knight F3, just holding up black's play over there and basically repositioning pieces. Rook A B1, Knight E4, and now white is ready to start opening things up. B takes, Knight E5, Knight E7, and now you can see why Knight E5 is there. F3, kicking the knight out. Knight F6, Bishop C3, and from here you can get the point of white's idea, white's play. All right, he just has a good version of the stonewall against black, where he has achieved his full kingside counterplay, but black has no attack. Knight D7. I'll continue in the analysis. Rook takes D7. Bishop A6. And white has excellent prospects here. So that's, to me, that's the main plan that white, that I would adopt as white. Now, what's the other plan? Okay, another plan that can be adopted is, now if you've been studying chess and ever studied the Stonewall, you will know that one of the recommendations for the Stonewall is the anti-Stonewall, which is just basically playing the mirror version as white, and that this is well known and well documented to be better for white if white, black goes into the Stonewall, before white has played Knight F3, and white has the option of playing F4. It's easy to go into a reverse Stonewall, and white is usually better. Okay, matter of fact, most of the times white is better. Okay, so this is another option. Notice with the knight on F1, with the knight being on F1, let's see. Yeah, with the knight on F1, for example, I don't know, let's just play a move. Matter of fact, let's play the move that was played in the game. Here, this is what Susan opted for, is to play this reverse Stonewall. So G4 was played, okay, Knight F6, and then she played F4. Now, not my preference, but perfectly reasonable, because she understands that black's main counter chances will be in playing the Stonewall. So she just decides, she basically kills black's chances on the king side, knowing that she already has an advantage on the other side of the board. Game continued 98. Now, Serper didn't put up the best defense. Matter of fact, he played very passive. Knight H2. And now F6. And now, what happens here is, remember I was saying black could try for E5. But what happens here is that his pieces aren't in good enough positions to be able to make that work tactically. So Knight F3. Rook E7, and you can see Serper trying to work it out. Rook F1. And for example, if he tries to play E5 here, he would be practically lost. After, say, D takes E5, F takes E5, you could come in with the knight, and black is just down material. He can't do it. So Knight C7. And B4, A6. You see Polgar playing on both sides of the board. Queen H2, Knight e8, rook a d1, knight c7, and you see right here, Serper starts kind of shuffling around with the pieces, not really having an answer, and this allows white to play without a partner. So h4, and now there's this stone wall, right? And remember I said that this is usually bad for black, the reverse stone wall. g5 is played, and black has absolutely no counterplay. And of course, this just seals the lid on black's coffin, because en passant, g takes h6, b takes h6, and now just h5. And now the gates start flying off the hinges. King f2. Game continued. G takes h5. And now we see Susan just coming in with this kingside attack at the end. And again, this was made possible by a lot of passive play here by Serper in the cramped position, but it just shows you that even the GM could go wrong in this type of position, because he just had he couldn't find any good movements, good places for his pieces. And as you can see right here with bishop e2 at the end, threatening bishop h5. So Serper resigned there. So that was a nice, nice win by Polgar there. When I first looked at this position, I was surprised by g4. I knew that it was an option to play reverse stonewall, okay, but I was thinking more of this happening: b4, f5, and then f4. That was my first, initial thought of how it could go down. Basically, waiting till black commits and then playing it, and then not with the idea of conducting a kingside attack, but just basically stopping black's kingside play and then returning back to work, say after knight e7, then going back to work on the queen side. That is probably how yours truly would have played it. Now, again, I'm not saying right or wrong, criticizing, but people have different styles. So you might say my style is more conservative. Perhaps it is. I'm more of in the line of, Karpov, Capablanca, that Kramnik, Fabiano Caruana. That's like my just maneuvering around kind of, for a long time. So I wouldn't have played g4 right away, but you can see the position is very similar. So that will do it for this video. I hope it was instructive. I hope that you did take time and look at the position, and because that's really how you get strong in chess. Let me just say this before closing. I don't want to drag the video out, but there's a lot of videos on YouTube. There's tons of videos on YouTube. It has all these big titles. Secrets to chess mastery, secrets to this, or crush your opponent with the, and that's all it's all good selling points and everything like that. But the bottom line is, like anything that you want to get good at, you got to practice, you got to work, and you got to exercise your mind. And a lot of most of chess is really just is learning like how to think and how to look at the position, how to approach the position. It's not like you're gonna watch like an hour video on the Sicilian defense night off variation. All of a sudden you're gonna be really good. No, it takes hours and hours of like doing stuff like this, like looking at these positions and coming up with plans in the positions, because regardless of the opening, you can wind up in this position. Like we ended up in this like a Stonewall Dutch, okay? But this position could have came from a Slav. It could have came from Queen's Gambit decline, Slav variation. It could have been a Queen's Gambit decline, Steinitz variation with Bishop f4. Well, not Bishop f4, but because the bishop's on b2. But the point is, it could have came from various different variations. A modern defense, right? What else? It could have been a Kali system, right, where the bishop goes to b2, Kali Zuker's system. So there's many. It doesn't matter about the opening. It's the understanding that has to increase, and the only way it's going to increase is by just exercising and thinking about these positions. That's why I say take 20 minutes to half an hour just thinking about it. So what if your moves are wrong, or you only could come up with one or two move variations? Because it's practice that's going to give you the, it's gonna give you the impetus and direction of where to gear your studying. And then what'll happen after a while is that you'll start coming up with the right plans. Now your moves are not gonna always match the grandmaster moves, because, and it doesn't mean you're wrong. Sometimes you're gonna be wrong because there's gonna be a tactical refutation, but sometimes there's two or three moves that can be correct here. And and there's nothing wrong with that. What you want to make sure is that your plan is correct. Make sure the plan is correct, right? That's the first step. That you have the right plan, like, okay, the right ideas in a position. Make sure, okay, like for instance with this position, how I was telling you, when I looked at the position, I seen, okay, white has more space on the queen side, right? Pawn on a4, b3. Okay, black's pieces are uncoordinated. Looks like he should continue on the queen side. Okay, assessing black's chances. All right. Okay, black, he might be able to break on the queen side, but it doesn't look like it'll work out. Okay, he can play a reverse. He can play a stonewall. Oh, he can also play for e5. Just recognizing the ideas in the position, and then later on thinking about how things are going to work out tactically. But it's first you want to get a grasp on the position, like what's going on here. Who's better. And like I said, we assessed that, okay, white has an advantage here. So once we found that out, we know that white has the right, according to the laws of chess, to continue to play for an advantage. All right. Black has to play for equality because black is worse here. So black has to try to improve and hold and become equal somehow. And again, once you get those, get used to thinking right, then you'll be surprised, um, how your game will start to improve, and you'll start making moves, or you'll look at a position and you'll see the same move that the grandmaster made in the position. Okay, because it'll just come to you. You study these type of positions over and over again, and next thing you know, you'll start thinking the same way. So that is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you guys on the next one.